Have you ever felt trapped in your job, constantly working hard, but feeling like you're running on a treadmill, going nowhere fast? What if I told you that as a software engineer, it's not just about writing code, but about so much more? Today I'm going to share with you the top 10 mistakes software engineers make in their careers, mistakes that, if left unchecked, could halt your career progression and diminish your value in the eyes of the organization. By the end of this video, you'll know the secrets to navigating the intricate world of software engineering, moving beyond just being a coder, and achieving heights you might have thought were out of reach. In my first year as a software engineer at an AI company, I was awarded $35,000 in raises, a hefty stock bonus, and was promoted to a senior engineer. How did I do it? By avoiding the mistakes I'm going to dive into now. Many engineers limit themselves by sticking strictly to what was in their job description. It's beneficial to recognize when there's an opportunity to branch out and take new challenges. You can do everything that's expected of you at a high level, and that's great in isolation. But simply working hard at the tasks you were supposed to do will not get the attention of other people around the team or broader organization. Unless you're breaking records or just not completing an adequate amount of tickets, nobody's keeping track of the efficiency at which you complete your given tasks at hand. When you signed on to your job, you agreed upon a salary for the job description listed. If you keep your scope honed into just the job description, don't be surprised when your salary and compensation also stay in the same scope of the job description. I personally take notes of different issues that repeatedly come up in my daily stand-ups and broader team meetings. A lot of the times, they're fairly low-hanging fruit projects that could add a tremendous amount of value for relatively little effort. Whether by automating something that used to be manual or creating validation steps in order to reduce the amount of errors occurring in the backend, you should find ways to increase the efficiency of your team. If you can also somehow align these projects with company KPIs or key performance indicators, you'll surely get the attention of the people with higher titles than you. Once you come up with some ideas, run them by your manager and ask if you can sprinkle in tickets for those process improvement projects throughout your upcoming sprints. Most likely, as long as you're getting your work done, your manager will be more than happy to let you spend some of your time on those tasks. Building relationships within and outside the tech department can open doors to collaboration, mentorship, and new opportunities. The process improvements I just mentioned don't have to be engineering focused either. In fact, you can improve the lives of the non-engineering roles around you. You'll probably be recognized even more. In my experience, whether intentional or not, engineers tend to downplay the extra work done by other engineers on the day-to-day because they're already going through the day-to-day grind also. While on the other hand, non-engineering coworkers feel very special in the moments when it feels like an engineer went out of their way to help them. Anything that saves the non-engineer time, effort, or mental workload will have them feeling very grateful. And since non-engineering roles talk amongst each other more frequently than engineering roles, your process improvements will spread like wildfire. Outside of just improving non-engineers' lives directly through your projects, you should also take moments from time to time to get to know them on a human level. I've personally had multiple lunches and dinners with the VPs and managers of my team, and in those moments you really get to solidify the human connection and trust between the two of you. With more trust comes this positive feedback loop where a manager trusts you to get something done, so they'll request more things in the future. You'll gain even more trust, and so forth. So don't make the mistake of just being a coder who talks to coders. Branch out, help the other members on the team, and get to know them on a more human level. As a software engineer, it's your responsibility to continue to craft and hone your engineering skills. Due to mostly unlimited ways to solve any one problem in software, there's always room for growth. The great thing with working at a software company is immediate access to other smart individuals in the industry you should continue to learn from. In my experience, companies have engineering showcases or fireside chats or seminars to discuss or demo new tech they've already been working on or if they've just found interesting. I recommend to go to these as much as possible because usually they're Spark Notes versions of the information you should know in order to not let the industry leave you behind. The tech industry evolves rapidly. Engineers who don't embrace change can quickly find their skills and knowledge outdated, but the learning should also not stop at those larger group discussions. A big mistake that I see software engineers make is treating the other team's systems and implementations as a black box. A lot of the time, at a software company, you have direct access to the person who puts the code in place and made the system. So when you run into an issue that needs to be further looked into by another engineering team, make sure to follow up and understand what it is exactly that went wrong. Sometimes the engineer may even take time out of their day to share their screen and walk through what they're looking for when solving a certain issue. These more intimate knowledge transferring sessions not only build up your knowledge of the broader system, but also help build stronger relationships between engineers. Especially with backend and infrastructure software engineers, they typically only ever get reached out to if something goes wrong. More often than not, they'd be more than happy to share any insights you'd be willing to listen to. In software engineering, a lot of what you individually tackle on a day-to-day is more or less dictated by the current sprint you're in and the individual tickets that are on your board. Each ticket typically represents issues or improvements that need to be made to the code base, and my specific team of engineers pick these tickets off the board on a first come first served basis. Naturally, the more straightforward tickets get claimed off the board first, leaving the more challenging and complex tickets for later in the sprint. I understand that there's ups and downs as a software engineer, and that sometimes you've been tackling a tough ticket for a week and you just need a mental break after. So the next ticket you take is a simpler one. I just want you to avoid the mistake I see software engineers make of only ever taking tickets that they're comfortable with. As I mentioned in the tip right before this one, you need to continue to grow as an engineer in order to not get left behind by the company you're working at or the industry as a whole. Growth comes from overcoming challenges. Avoiding tasks or projects that seem intimidating means missing out on valuable learning experiences. Picking up more challenging tasks to do also doesn't mean you should treat them as tests either. It's more than okay to pick up a ticket you're unsure of how to tackle and try to reach out to another engineer who has solved a similar issue in the past. Trust me, the task will end up being less scary than you expected, and you'll be one step closer to becoming the person the others go to for help when they need to solve a similar ticket in the future. At the company I work at, one of the core values is see something, do something. It's a mindset that resonates with me because this thought process has been ingrained into my subconscious for as long as I can remember. Naturally, in times of crisis or unrest, humans tend to exhibit the bystander phenomenon, which means that someone is less likely to actually intervene or assist if the person sees other people around the situation too. Everyone in their own right feels okay because they assume someone else will take care of the situation, but when everyone thinks this way, nothing actually gets done and the issue or crisis persists. This phenomenon occurs in the workplace also, and even more so in the field of software engineering. Because everyone on an engineering team technically has the ability to solve the issue, nobody does. Even if the issue comes up quite frequently, the responsibility of solving it gets subconsciously passed away from one individual to another. For any engineer who wants to progress relatively quickly in their career, this is a huge mistake that you shouldn't express yourself. Be the person in the room who actually calls 911 in a time of emergency. In an engineering setting, be the person who expresses in a meeting the potential solutions for the prevalent issues, and be the person who volunteers to solve the issues. Just like in the 911 situation, you'll be viewed as the hero, and it'll just be another instance that you can reference in the future where you added tangible value to the team. Having come from more leadership and managerial roles at other companies, meetings with just engineers was a bit jarring for me at first. If you're a software engineer, especially in a world with plenty of virtual meetings, you've probably been in a meeting with just engineers that goes silent for seconds at a time as nobody speaks up to a question that is proposed or a greeting that's given. So an easy way to stand out as an engineer is to just initially speak up. A big mistake I see engineers make is just having the willingness to stay silent despite the good ideas and feedback I know they have in their minds. Not all ideas will be accepted, but proposing new projects or optimizations can showcase an engineer's proactive attitude. Speaking up could be another avenue for gaining the trust of fellow engineers and with managers across the organization. As an engineer, you have valuable insights when it comes to engineering direction and processes. By staying silent, you might miss the chance to contribute to a potentially misguided decision. The more consistently you become willing to give good ideas, the more consistently others will come to you to share new ideas, creating yet another positive feedback loop, allowing you to stand out. I've encountered a lot of very technically smart engineers in my life. People that seem like they solve every coding question within seconds of it digesting them. They seem to know every system and every framework. The misconception is that these are the people that quickly become the leaders of the organization. It's easy to think this way because they are software engineers and maybe the objectively best pure coders on their respective teams. Technical expertise is crucial, but so are skills like communication, teamwork, and problem solving. Overlooking the importance of soft skills might hinder effective collaboration or conveying ideas. Sometimes these technically smart engineers don't care about everyone else's understanding of the system. They work super fast on projects that they're the main contributor on, but as soon as other stakeholders get involved, progress drastically slows. Because in most larger projects, an engineer is not only required to do the work, but also share project status with various managers and other engineers that may be across multiple teams. Being able to efficiently and succinctly convey the required information when needed is a powerful skill to have. The more an engineer keeps the other stakeholders in the loop, the less stressed these people are, and ultimately the more trust you have for them. So continue to hone your coding skills, but remember that just like every occupation in life, software engineering is a first and foremost a people business. You're fundamentally understanding someone's pain point or wishes and executing the necessary tasks to make the relevant stakeholders and users happy. Just like many jobs that exist today, it's easy to get lost in the day-to-day, to get comfortable in your everyday routine. I've personally had moments where I couldn't properly articulate to you the value that I contributed to my team in the last 2 weeks. That's not to say that I wasn't providing value, because from the outside looking in, I definitely was. But because every day I'm completing tickets for clients and features on different timelines, even when one client is implemented or has all their bugs fixed, it's difficult to acknowledge those wins. I just continue to move on to the next ticket. This is a mistake. On a semi-regular basis, I now make sure to explicitly take notes notes of the various things that I do to provide value for the team. Ultimately, this has helped me receive $35,000 in raises, extra stock bonuses, and a promotion to a senior engineer, all within my first year at my current company. Regular check-ins about title and compensation are essential. Not doing so might lead to being undervalued or stuck in the role that no longer fits. That being said, in order to ease your own stress and to make stronger points on these topics, I recommend coming into meetings with explicit examples of the value you bring to the table beyond just a job description. Maintaining the constant cycle of producing value, explicitly logging the value, and expressing that value add to the relevant leaders of your organization is key to the progression of your career in software engineering. If you can't even remember the value you continually add to the team, how can you expect anybody else to recognize and reward that value? This next mistake is something that I've encountered over and over again as a software engineer, and although I've made conscious efforts to improve, I definitely still fall victim to this one. As I mentioned, software engineers get caught up in their day-to-day grind. They get comfortable with a certain subset of tasks, and ultimately there's specific people within each team that know a specific area of the code the best. As an engineer, you know this because you probably tried to either read the code yourself, look up documentation within your company's documentation websites, or you just gave up on trying to solve this specific issue. The mistake here is that there was a lack of documentation. Proper documentation is vital for clarity and future reference. Not documenting can lead to confusion, especially when scaling or onboarding new members. Heck, I feel as if I need to do a good job of documenting my code so that I can give my future self an easier time when fixing any issues that arise. If you can't remember why you made certain decisions, some other engineer will definitely not be able to decipher what you were trying to do with the block of code at that time. If your team doesn't do a good job of documenting, be that change. Ultimately, this could be one of the pieces of value beyond your job description that you'll be able to vouch for in future compensation and title discussions. As a remote software engineer, it's too easy to just operate in your own bubble every day. But just as it is important to explicitly log and share the value you're adding to the team, I believe it's also important to seek and act on feedback given by your peers and managers. Regularly seeking feedback on one's work helps identify areas of improvement and ensures alignment with the team's goals. Personally, I add these feedback discussions into the broader performance discussions whenever I do bring up my title and compensation, which admittedly is quite often. It's important to always know what the criteria are to reach the next level in your career and to be self-aware of the criteria that you are not hitting. You should walk through this type of discussion with your manager regularly, and they should help you create action plans to fill in the gaps that you're missing. You are the title that you are because of how the leadership above you views the value you're providing. By figuring out what value they think you're not providing yet, you'll have tangible goals to try and hit in your day-to-day. So don't make the mistake of avoiding feedback. Just like someone who's trying to lose weight should consistently check in with their weight, as an engineer, you should continually check in with your progress towards your compensation and title goals. Welcome the feedback, and you'll be given the roadmap as to how to get to that next level. By addressing these 10 mistakes, not only will you stand out, but you'll forge a path of growth in your career. If you're wondering how I personally navigated these challenges and got promoted in just 1 year without burning myself out or increasing my working hours, you should check out this video right here that goes over just that. And if you want me or someone on my team of mentors to personally mentor you through your journey, check out aspirementors.tech in the description. There's only a limited number of slots in the next cohort. Remember, it's not just about working hard, but working smart.